Hitting the button.
The button is hit. We are live. Holy
Damn.
crap! There's a ton of comments already, Ron. Can you see the comments on the side?
No, not yet. I think it takes a while for everything to load.
All right.
Why were they sitting there listening to us for the last 5 minutes? In
No.
That'd be fun.
Literally just went live.
Oh shit.
Okay. Okay. Well, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding live. Of course, the producer Scott McNally, Dusty Hanshaw, and myself, Big Ron Partlow. We're here live today because Monday was an impossibility to record. I was stuck in the Toronto airport, which is, you know, I think of places that you can be stuck, like the Bahamas or, you know, like a beautiful campground, maybe for an extra night, or, you know, by a lake or something, or the Toronto airport for 7 extra hours.
Oh, God.
Those are like premium places to be stuck. So, yeah, I had a bit of a delay yesterday. It was kind of funny. We boarded the plane. Of course, I get the first flight out. Sorry, on Monday. I get the first flight out of Toronto, right? Because I like to get home.
Yeah.
And we're sitting on the plane for an hour, and they haven't taken off yet. And I have that brutal experience where I fall asleep, and I wake up, and I look at my phone, and it's an hour. And I'm like, oh, wow, I just killed an hour. And then I look out the window. We haven't left the ground yet.
Oh.
And then the pilot comes on. He goes, I guess a piece of the plane is broken off, so we're gonna have to get another plane.
Huh.
So we had to get off.
I just did some research for you, Ron. There have been a number of incidents recently that have delayed planes. There was a list of like 20, okay? But some of the highlights were 2 people that worked at the airport got in a fist fight on the runway.
Why would that slow it down very much? I mean, how long
Too
was
many
this
regulations about fist fights, I guess.
That was a good highlight. There was a bunch of other stuff too, like some passenger dumped rice on the floor. They brought rice, and it's probably bodybuilder, you know, dumped a bunch of rice all over the floor, and the cabin crew refused to take off till they could get it all cleaned up. Other situations, like the carts were too big to push down the aisles. So literally, like, okay, now we got to find new carts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We got to wait for another plane to arrive. They have smaller carts on that plane. We can
Right,
take those carts off. Yeah, it's bullshit.
So you're not
so
alone.
remember, everybody, like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
There you go. And of course, thanks to Mutant, our sponsor, IamMutant.com, 20% off using Dusty20 or Big Ron 20.
Yes.
There. We're fast and slick with all the promo stuff.
It's good.
And of course, thanks to Patreon, the Patreon members. You're also watching on Patreon Live too. Scott has Patreon Live going, I believe. Is that true?
Yes. We should be hooked up to Patreon. We should be hooked up to the Facebook group and to YouTube. So welcome to everybody from the different platforms.
Yes. So how was your weekend, guys? I was at the Toronto Pro the whole weekend. How are you guys?
It was good. We had a good weekend. My friend that passed away on his motorcycle, they had a formal service last week, and it was very formal for me. There was not a lot about him, but there was a lot about religion. So decided to go ahead and throw my own party. So we closed down the cigar shop that we had and just invited some of his close friends. It's funny, if you would invite like my close friends, it'd be like 6 people. I had like 50 people there. I'm like, how do you know all these people? But, yes, so it was an awesome send-off for Daniel last night. A lot of people came out, and that was that. And I'm counting that as the weekend because I didn't do anything all weekend except for watch the show online.
Oh, okay. I heard the stream was a little rough.
Yeah, it was. But you know what I think is funny is you simultaneously have people complaining about the stream and then also saying that the judges got it wrong.
Right. Yeah, you can't only do one of those two things.
I was like, so if the stream quality isn't good, which it was not, how do you know more than the judges that were right there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Scott, your weekend was good. Were you paying attention to Toronto or were you busy?
I was busy with everything else. I had all sorts of stuff going on here, but I was interested to hear your opinion on the whole thing. I'm happy to see Iain win. Hassan, I've been wanting to see him do really well for a long time, so I was excited to see him, really fight for that top spot. And then I heard everybody talking about Iain Valliere, who I'd consider him to be a friend of our show. And you know, really all around great dude. I've been watching him come up for a long time, and fellow Canadian, your people.
Yes, totally.
The whole chest thing, and that's been like the big news. And he posted a video that I just watched this morning talking about it. What's exactly going on here, Ron?
Well, I mean, his chest still looked great. Like, there's lots of guys that have like a little extra split in the middle there. Like, you know, it's not, to me, I wasn't like looking at his chest. It does look a little different than it used to. So what I think, I have a friend that lost the bottom corner of his pec, like just the bottom corner just vanished. The same way I lost the bottom corner of my one lat. And I think that all this stuff is, you know, obviously I'm not saying I know exactly what's going on with Iain, and I haven't talked to him about it. But I just think when I hear people say like, oh, I've got like a muscle that's like, looks like it's different. Like, you know, my one guy, I know his bicep is like, he's like, I never tore it. And he had an MRI and it was not torn at all, but he feels like his bicep's getting shorter. And it looks like it's getting shorter. I think that's all nerve related. It doesn't mean it's not fixable. Maybe there's an impingement. Maybe it's C-spine related. I believe that my lat and my tricep, along with the inside head of my right calf, are all spine related. That's why I've got 3 MRIs booked. They're coming up soon. I'm paying for them so that I can get in fast. Oh, wow. And I need that information in order to decide if I'm going to get stem cells in my spinal in my discs or not. But you know, I've done a lot of research. The outside head of the calf is mainly innervated from L5. My outside heads are fine. They're round, they stick out, they contract, they're fine. The inside heads are innervated mainly from S1. It's a different nerve root.
No kidding.
Right. So when you see guys lose the inside head of their calves, but not the outside head of their calves, and their soleus is fine. Yeah. It tells me, what else could it be? Do I have an impingement in my leg somewhere? Or is it my S1? So I'm getting an MRI. I had a nerve conduction test done about 10 days ago where they stuck needles with a needle with a wire on it. They stuck it all through my lat. They went all down my tricep. They went in my calf. They went in some healthy muscles. Like they went in my pec and my side delt so they could compare. Yeah. And I'm not quite sure how nerve conduction tests work because, you know, that's just one area I'm not up on. Like he was using all these terms. He was talking while he was doing it. He was looking at the screen and you can hear some sound go. So it sounds like static electricity. Okay. And it kind of goes silent and then he'll wiggle the thing around and it goes. And then he'll tell you to flex the muscle while the needle's in it. So you run some tension through the muscle and it goes like really crazy. Then the screen jumps around. And he told me afterwards, he goes, you have something really weird going on. He said he's been doing, 30 years of nerves. And he's like, I don't quite understand what's going on with you because you've got, like my tricep has like definitely a nerve impairment, like a severe nerve impairment. He was like, wow, that's very noticeable. But yet the pronator muscle, which is the muscle that turns your hand over. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That muscle is further down the chain on the same nerve. And my pronator was 100%. Huh. So he thinks, the doctor I talked to said, listen, the only thing, if this is C-spine related, I think that what has happened with you, just a theory, is that you have a bad nerve impingement. It's affected your tricep, but your body has rerouted so many things to try to get around it. And that's why your pronator muscle is fine and other things appear to be fine that are on the same nerve. But the tricep just hasn't been able to do the same thing. He said that's what he thinks. So again, I'm dealing with this myself, right? So when I see a bodybuilder where a muscle looks like it kind of pulls away or gets a little shorter or the bottom corners of the lats come up or the inside head of the calf gets smaller, I just can't help but think, hey, I've seen this. I've been through this. I have this. Yeah. And so I think that, it's not illogical to think like, I was a big guy, I put 500 pounds on my back 1,000,000 times. Like it doesn't, I leg pressed 14 plates aside with my, hips almost rolling, to think of how the S1 would just get. I just think it makes sense that maybe these discs eventually they just, give out a little. It could be an impingement on the pathway between the neck and the tricep too. Yeah. For me, I'm saying, But I'm just saying that's my opinion. I think all this stuff is nerve related, probably C-spine related.
Did you see any of that while you were still competing, or are these things that you started to notice after you retired?
The lat was while I was still competing. My tricep was fine. My calves weren't a problem. And my lat was getting shorter. And I was looking at Jay Cutler and Branch Warren, and their bottom lats were also coming up over the years. Okay. So I knew something was up, and I thought it was massage, get lots of massage, lots of tissue work, you know? Yeah. Everyone was talking about fascia back then.
Yeah, I remember
Everyone was talking about fascia stretching, and I didn't really do anything about my neck. And I don't know why I never thought to do that, but it just didn't occur to me. I thought, well, everything else is fine. You know, if it was my neck, I'd be all like fucked up and things would, you know, I'd have numb fingers and shit, but that's not how they work necessarily. I've learned now that nerves are a real crazy, tricky thing. They do some crazy shit. So, you know, again, I don't know what's going on with Iain. Maybe he just tore a few fibers off the sternum. Like, he trains. He's a fucking animal, man. He's one of the strongest pros ever. Yeah. You know, he's a 200-pound dumbbell guy, right?
And the reality is, like, for people that haven't seen him, I mean, I can't see it so much. I mean, he still looks, a lot of the pictures. You know, like he's
and I mean,
got
like,
crazy physique.
Yeah, and like, you know, the thing about when my lat came up the back, my front lat spread was totally unaffected for a very long time.
Okay. Yeah.
It was only visible from the back. So, you know, there's still tons of poses where, you know, you don't see anything wrong at all.
I gotcha. Yeah.
And his conditioning was fantastic, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good show though. But, you know, again, I don't want to speak about what's wrong with Iain. I just know that, you know, when I see this stuff, that's what I think.
Okay.
You know, I mean, hopefully it's something more minor and maybe it goes away. I don't know, you know?
Yeah. There's something that can be corrected because he's at like where he's at, man. He's at the top of the game right now.
Yeah.
You know, winning shows and he's got a lot of popularity. I hope, you know, just as a fan of the sport and a fan of him, I hope that he can get this figured out, you know, and maybe it just doesn't get any worse than this. That would be ideal, you know, keep it here. You know, I don't know, a little direct growth or something. Just put it right in there.
Yeah,
you know, that's all you need.
And I know some people say that you know these problems in bodybuilders are from injections, but I never once injected my lat.
Okay,
I never once like ever. So the lat thing just doesn't apply to me. So you know that sort of thing. I mean, you could technically do damage injecting if you had like a terrible infection and it went wrong and all that stuff, but I never had that happen. So.
Right
yeah.
On.
Is that enough info? Is that enough opinion?
I think it's good. It's good. Unless Dusty has any opinion that he wants to add. Because that's the thing at the end of the day, we're not trying to diagnose anything. But I do think because it is a popular topic and, you know, people who enjoy watching the show, they're like, hey, what does Ron and Dusty and Scott think about this?
Yeah. And, you know, I'm hoping that if I do get some stem cells and, you know, maybe it is totally disc related and I can inflate those discs back up a little bit.
Yes.
Maybe I can get a little bit of function, a little bit of, you know, cosmetic, you know, improvement or something. I'm totally functional. I just, you know, it doesn't look good. That's why I don't, you know, fucking compete anymore. But yeah.
I really don't. I mean, there's nothing to add. I just think it was, what I find interesting is that was more of a takeaway from the show than his bounce back from the Olympia, than his conditioning, than his fullness, than the back being like. I think what I hate about bodybuilding is the fact that we drive home this tiny little thing that I had to like go back and look at.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm
coming
from.
Very few people are talking about the fact that he had a back issue at the Olympia that is gone. Like, I mean, I didn't know what was up, but when I see someone's back disappear compared to themselves relatively drastically, I think, things are slipping in the wrong direction. You bounce back to your very next show and you're blown out, we're good to go. So I'm happy to see Iain back in the winner's circle where he belongs, and I hope to see him busting that, you know, top 6 this year, because I think top 8's the best he's done.
Yeah, I think so. Wasn't he 7th once?
Maybe that's maybe it's 7th or 8th twice.
Yeah. I think he was 7th twice.
And he's just one of my favorites for the same reason that people love to make him a villain, because he's honest. He just says what he wants and it drives people crazy. And that's literally my favorite thing about him. Like it blows my mind that people jump his case for being honest. I'm like, oh. Weird.
Another thing that I notice about Iain that is repeatedly the case, it's the day of the show, right? Tension is high. There's a lot on the line, all this stuff. And you run into Iain I run into Iain in the lobby, and it's as if you're running into someone who's not competing that day.
Really?
Right.
He's like, "Hey, Ronnie, what's up?" And you get
That's
a hug.
cool.
And I talked to him and Melissa, and he's like, "Oh yeah, blah 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 blah. How's the gym?" Like, and just talking like a normal person who's full of energy and has just had French toast for breakfast and is excited to, you're not running into like a, "Hey, bro, yeah, not right now, Chief. I'm in the fucking zone."
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're not getting that guy.
I love that guy.
It's just like and I think that's it's just his temperament and his mindset is, and then he wins,
right.
And it just says something about like he understands, like it's all the work is done. This is the best part of it is enjoy the day and talk to people and be the champ and manifest the win. And I don't know what's going on in his head, but he's that type of guy. So, very good mindset the day of the show, talking to fans, like that sort of thing. So
that's cool.
For sure.
All right.
Yeah.
What else do we got? What are we doing today, guys?
Well,
you said questions.
I've got listener questions. I didn't know if you had anything though.
You said you wanted to mention the pro card. I went through and sent you the picture and everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let me pull that up, man. I did.
You told me to send it.
He just skipped it.
We don't care about you, Ron.
What pro card?
Well, you're the one that brought it up, so I thought, okay.
Here's the thing. I want you guys to understand is that Ron is very humble. You've been doing an awesome job with coaching. You're a guy too who you keep it simple. You're old school, right? And no insulin for bikini girls. And you're doing you're doing a great job. So I wanted to make sure that we talked about that because you had a client that turned pro at the amateur portion of the show, right? And that's what you're out there for, really, right?
Yeah. I had everyone loves to help somebody win. Obviously winning at any level is great, and anyone loves to take home a pro card. This is Elise Millions, who's a member at West Coast, and she asked me to train her months ago, and we did the first show and she won the overall there. And she said, well, am I ready for a pro qualifier? And I said, I don't know, because to be honest, the last several pro qualifiers I've been to, I didn't have a figure competitor, so I didn't even watch them. I was busy. So I was like, let me send these photos to a few people. So I sent them to a few people and I said, should she come to Toronto? And they all said, yeah, she should come to Toronto. She could win. She could do very well. She needs to improve here and there.
Sure.
So she had 10 weeks between shows, and she, put her nose down, and we came to Toronto and walked away with the overall win in the pro card. So she's a pro in 2 shows. She's only done 2 shows.
You're kidding me.
So yeah,
I don't like her.
Yeah,
that's always fun, and it was one of those shows where no diuretics, no water cut, nothing. She woke up that morning, went to the show. She drank a liter of water that morning before she went on stage. No water. She drank 5-6 liters a day before, all the way to bed. Nothing, no voodoo at all. She ate a little bit extra carbs. I think she had a muffin. That was about it.
Okay.
What flavor?
Probably chocolate chip, because I like to instill proper values in my clients.
Yes. You got to get the chocolate ratio.
Yes.
Yeah, understand.
So happy you said that. Some of these choices, a poppy seed, we'll get second place.
Ooh, we got a super chat. We got a super chat, and I don't know who
super
he's
chat.
referred to. Yeah, I don't
Ring
know
the
who
bell.
he's referring to. He says, but he did say, hello, I really like the podcast. Me and my friend tried to contact you on Instagram for an important matter. We are from Brazil. And I don't know who he's referring to, but he tried to contact one of us. And I want to say thank you for watching the show and contributing to Super Chat.
Well,
we can
we will all check our other folder after the show, and
just put the important matter here, dude. Let's do this live.
What would be a good? What's a good sound effect for the Super Chat? Because we got this one. Let's see.
Do you have a till? I love a cash register.
We've got a DJ air horn. That's for Skip. Generally, I save that for Skip. He likes the air horn.
Yeah, that's too EDM for me.
Yeah,
it's gonna work.
And then I have a triangle. We got that. We have a Glockenspiel. There you go.
That's
Thanks
not
for
what
the
a
super
Glock
chat.
sounded like.
What do you have? Do you have a Glock?
No,
Yeah, so I was
I
thinking.
could do that myself, but we're running this thing live. There's no
I
net.
know.
There's no
Every
net.
time there's a
sand
super
thing
chat,
down.
you do a desktop.
Desktop. Woohoo! Thank you guys. Bang.
Wow. You know,
Hopefully Victoria's not in the
upstairs
kitchen.
sitting
Yeah.
on the couch, fucking coming through the floor.
Yeah. It'll be good. It'll be
Perfect.
fine.
You got to yell out first, desk pop, and she knows where to stand, right?
Get up against the wall
Slides
for a minute.
over.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. There we go. Congrats to everybody. Again, Toronto show was great. There was lots to talk about the pro show, but you guys, I don't know. Sometimes I think that by the time, sometimes I think, do we want to do the massive show breakdowns? Because, we're just not those guys. We miss people. We're just terrible at it. We go straight
already
from
over
second
now.
to fifth,
Yeah. And they don't even talk about the winner,
No, I know. So it's
Why
terrible.
would we?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
So lots going on. What else is going on? What are we doing?
Well, we do have a bunch
This
of listener
whole live
questions. Yeah, and we've got the
Okay.
live thing. So we literally, we could take questions from these people who are hanging out with us. What do you think they're doing right now, guys? I feel like they might be at work, and they're probably supposed to be doing something. Some of them are supposed to be doing something else right now.
Some of them
They're
are
researching
driving,
greatness.
researching
Fine.
greatness. Some of them are doing cardio. Some of them are, I'd say most of them are sitting at their desk at work. And they're like, maybe they're mouse clicking just
yeah.
to give the illusion that they're doing something, but they have an earbud in and they're listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
We
that's
do have a
what
bunch
most
of
people are
questions.
doing.
There was one, I think I had sent it over to you guys this morning because I wanted to give you a minute. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I sent it to. Yeah. So I sent it to somebody else because I wanted to
Sent to
ask.
his friends. He
I
sent
sent
to his
this to
actual
Skip and
friends.
Andrew, and I was like, "Hey guys, I want you to put some thought into this question so that we can have some good answers today." I'm going to ask Ron and Dusty too, but apparently I
With
didn't
no
ask you
notice.
guys. Yeah, no notice. You guys have no notice on this one. All right.
Do it.
This
I'm
is
ready.
from Phil. He's from
Blue Phil.
Patreon, which, by the way, thank you, Phil, for supporting us on Patreon. He says, "What's the biggest load of nonsense bro science that you've heard from respectable coaches?" All I can think of is when at a George Ferris seminar, when Kai Green sitting next to him talking about wasting a workout if you have post-workout carbs because of the GH release.
Oh, wow.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
That's a good one.
wins.
That's hard to beat.
Yeah,
That's hard to
geez.
beat. Well, there's there's so many. Where do you start, Dusty?
I think the easiest one that I can think of, and I don't need to name a coach because there's literally hundreds around the world doing this, telling anyone they're trying to convince to compete that they think they can get a pro card. Like day one, never competed before. I think I'm like, is that speaking to people's hopes is a great sales pitch, I think. Because I'm like, I've had people say that. You think I could be a pro? I'm like, I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah.
That's not a real good sales pitch, but it's true, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of my favorites of the dumb things. Because I literally have had people come to me after being with a coach, not placing at a local show and coming to me and saying, "Oh, well, he said I could get a pro card this year." And I'm the one that looks at him and was like, 3 to 5 years.
Tops. Yeah.
If all goes well.
Yeah.
Rough.
I when you just like, I can't help but mention something that I saw twice this weekend. And you know me, I don't throw people under the bus. I like to let the world discover them.
Yes.
That's not my job. But so I had two coaches
Give me two,
that I'm
Utah.
friends with. Very friends with. Give me two, Utah, yeah. Very good friends with, who come up to me and they're like, "Look at this." And they showed me screenshots. And this is so common, it boggles my mind. But here's the scenario. A coach has a client maybe in the past and they move on and go work with other coaches. And then they do really well with that coach.
Yeah.
Maybe they do a higher level show. They come in, let's just say 10 pounds bigger and the hardest they've ever been. And they send that person a message. Hey, great to see you doing well today. Congratulations. You know, you could have been a lot harder though, and I think it would have helped your placing.
Yeah.
If you need any help, you know, I'm always here for you. It's nice to see you doing well. That sort of thing. Wow. Or the other one was, hey, you know, congrats on making first call out. It's a shame you were so depleted. If you would have been fuller, you might have been in that top spot. You know, if you notice, my clients always have a very full look, right?
Come on. Yeah.
Brain ninja.
And I saw this twice from two different trainers. These were two different trainers in these two incidents. But that just tells me if I'm seeing it twice, there's a fucking epidemic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like these dirt bags are these poachers. They're just trying to feast on the biggest insecurities of the competitor who's just experiencing the show that day, you know, just coming out of prejudging. Some of them are rattled. Some of them are extremely happy. Some of them read these messages and they're like, beat it. And others might read this message and go, oh, was I depleted? Oh, maybe I was depleted, you know? And I was standing backstage with my client who won her pro card when one of my buddies showed me the message.
Yeah.
And I showed it to her and I go, read this. I go, you're going to get these. Like, you know what I mean? You're going to get these. I bet you get one of these. Someone's going to try to, you know, convince you that, you know, for your next show, you need to work with someone who knows the judges better now that you're a pro.
Oh,
right? That sort of thing.
True.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, you did really well. Congrats on your pro card. Ron's a great coach, but you know, at this level, there's a lot of things you need to know. Like that stuff. These people are just the biggest pieces of shit. And and I love when the good people discover who they are.
Right.
And it's just, yeah. Anyways, that's my little just behind the scenes. This is what's going on. It's very common, doesn't surprise me anymore, but that's what's up.
Yeah, that is kind of crappy. I've got one, a bro science thing, and I never did this. This is something I heard early on in peak week. You don't want to brush your teeth with toothpaste.
Oh, wow.
Because
welcome to the 80s.
of the extra sodium. You don't want all that extra sodium in your body, so don't use toothpaste for that last week. Do you remember? You never heard that one, Dusty?
Yeah, I knew.
Why would I not want sodium?
Yeah.
Make you hold water.
Oh, that's what sodium does. I'm glad that I know that's what sodium does now.
Right.
Sodium makes you hold water. Oh, boy.
Gotta be tighter. Cut the sodium.
You know what's funny is that's like such a great I used to do that in sales when trying to get people to switch from one brand to another. You can say things that are that you know are true, that are blanket statements that catches someone to think. You're like, well, you might notice, like, if you're talking to a lady and she's taking a product that has more sodium, it's like, yeah, well, it's probably possible here and there during a month you might notice you're holding a little more water. That could be from that sodium.
Yeah. Oh, I never thought about that.
Yep. Or it could be from a monthly visitor. I don't know. But try this other brand that I make more money off of. Just saying.
Yeah, that's a great one, Scott. You going back to the like late 80s, early 90s for the don't brush your teeth with toothpaste thing.
They were boiling chicken. Then
my first coach, my first show, I'd only ever worked with one coach. Well, I hired another guy to help me peak for another show down the road. But my first time competing, he had me cut all my salt out at the end, and he had me drink distilled water.
Yes, I was just going to mention that.
Yeah, he had me drink distilled water, and we loaded up on the diazide too. Like, we're talking good amount of diazide that show.
It's funny. I did a show with a coach that was one of the first times I ever looked amazing was with a zero sodium coach. They were like, don't use salt thing, right? Yeah. But now in hindsight, I look back and they had me eating like 60 ounces of chicken a day.
Okay.
So I was still getting a couple grams of sodium through my sheer volume of meat. Okay. You know? Right. Yeah. And then I was also having like 30 egg whites a day. So there was enough sodium. The protein was so high that, because, just think what has, muscle tissue has sodium in it, right? So the protein intake was so high and the egg whites were up there. So I had adequate sodium to function, but it was a 0 added sodium diet. But, just salt's going to kill you. Salt's going to ruin your look, but have egg whites. Right?
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
So that whole thing, like, in hindsight, I look back on it. They also wanted me to drink distilled water.
Yep.
But I thought, that doesn't sound right. So I just drank spring water.
Okay.
And I won the show. And I remember people coming up to me. They're like, man, when I found out you were working with them, I knew you'd be ripped, but I didn't think you'd be full.
Ah.
and I look back now and I'm like, I wonder if the spring water saved my ass versus a distilled. I don't know. You know what I mean? But just a little, like the one thing I didn't do, they told me to do.
Yeah. Well, it'll purge. It doesn't have any minerals in it, right? The distilled water, it'll purge minerals out of your system.
Push them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To leach you down. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Plus it tastes terrible. Have you ever drank some lately?
I did
drink a glass of distilled water, man. There's a really weird taste. It's like you get so used to water that has minerals in it.
Yeah.
And Dusty drinks, pure Perrier, just straight from the tap, So whatever he's drinking there, some fancy. There we go. There we go. I knew it. So, Dusty's drinking like royal water. If you drink a bottle of distilled, it's like you're drinking like some sort of chemical. It has like a chemical taste because it's just dihydrogen oxide. That's all you get.
All right. We do have some other listener questions. We should tell, like I said, guys, if you have any questions here, I'll start looking through all the comments. You guys are welcome to throw some stuff in. But we did have a bunch. I mean, a bunch, man. Oh, what about this one? And we've kind of talked about this before from Christopher Logan. He said, he's from Patreon, by the way. He says, hey, Scott, glad to be here. My question is, how complicated do you think social media has made it to get into bodybuilding, and why? Personally, I think it's more complicated today than 10 to 20 years ago. Everyone talks about optimizing supplements, food, and training, that if I was a kid, I wouldn't know where to start if I didn't have any guidance. Yeah, it's kind of, I see people who are kind of paralyzed. They're like, I don't know what to do, and they're afraid they're going to do stuff wrong,
Yeah, and they think everything's equally important.
Yeah.
They think that, it's like to play a game of football, you need a ball, you need 11 guys, you need a field, and they're all equally important.
Right.
You can't play the game
without it.
Yeah. Right. So they see all these items like perfect supplement stack, perfect workout split, perfect nutrition macro balance, perfect. And they're like, I need to get all this stuff in place in order for anything to happen. But that's not at all what this is like. It's like the training, the calories, just work out and eat for now. Just find your way with the other stuff. It's not even remotely important compared to just taking action and getting going. Figure out the rest. The split will work itself out. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of paralysis by analysis, I guess. And people, I've heard guys say, oh yeah, like I haven't been training for a while because, my elbow's been sore. And I'm like, okay, what about your knees and your hips and your other body parts? I don't get it. Like, so they have that idea. Like, if everything's not perfect, it's not worth doing.
Right.
But that's just the exact opposite of what it actually is all about.
I got to note that my microphone is acting up. I don't sound any louder or quieter. Do you guys do it?
No, you sound fine to me.
All right. Sometimes in the recording or, when we send the signal out, it gets kind of weird. Somebody commented, Bro Science, that you have to take creatine with cranberry juice.
Oh, that's good.
Won't take it in properly. That's a good
I thought it was grape juice. Why did I think it was grape juice back in the day?
I heard grape juice too. Yeah.
Maybe we're older.
Will Mutant have any more signature shirts and a rerun of the Dusty shirts? Are they already out or something?
Wow,
the Dusty shirts, they got thousands of those. If the Dusty shirts sold out, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Hey?
we'll just have to. But I know that we're gonna do more different signature shirts too. So that's in the mix just because they've done so well. And Sean's come out next. So
Okay.
Yeah.
the No Plan B, which sounds very religious to me, is coming out soon. But I don't know. I guess it means something else to different people.
Yeah.
As someone
That's
with
funny.
2 daughters, I'm like, no, Plan B is fine if we must.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I see. You got Plan C as well.
Yeah, exactly.
How about this one?
Stay away from my daughter.
Exactly. That's Plan A.
So
Plan A is the Glock.
yeah. Pete asked us, and this is on Patreon as well. How do you find? He had 2 questions. How do you find a good gym? And he also asked, follow up, completely unrelated. Are the Trend twins the new Barbarian brothers of the internet?
So, how to find a good gym first?
Watch Mutant on a Mission.
There you
watch
go.
Mutant on a
Find a
Mission.
lot
There
of
you
them
go.
that way. Yeah.
That's funny. Watch Mutant on a Mission. Get a few. Like the reason I started doing that show was because when I started traveling for Mutant, the first 2 years I traveled with Mutant, I was blown away because my conversation at the booth when I'm at the expo is I always shake someone's hand and I usually ask where they're from, and then I usually ask them where they train.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That's just something I ask. I think gyms are something that we all have in common, and I was asking a lot of people, like, where do you train? And they'd be like, oh, Fitness Planet or whatever. And they go, oh, how is that? And they go, it sucks. And I'd go, oh, well, is there any good gyms in your area? And they're like, I don't think so. I got to drive like 40 minutes. There's 40 minutes away I go to once in a while, but, it's hard to make the drive.
Right.
And I was like, man, there's a lot of people training at gyms that they don't like. Because that was always like, I always liked the gyms I was at because I seeked them out. I found a good gym. But yeah, there's a lot of people that were stuck at gyms they didn't like, right? And you gotta go around. You gotta look in your area, seek them out, go have a workout there. You might think, this gym's a little out of the way and it's a little small or something, but go train there. Maybe the atmosphere is killer. Maybe there's some cool people there. Maybe you'll meet the owner and he's a great guy, or girl. But yeah, you got to put a little bit of effort in, and it's worth it.
Oh, for sure. I think the other thing too is if you're around, the smaller gyms. I know a little one in Canada called West Coast Iron that's pretty good about selling T-shirts and merchandise.
Right.
I have found often, like when I've went into just being out of town on short notice, I go to a gym, it's a little crappy, and I see somebody wearing 2 or 3 people wearing a shirt like a West Coast Iron shirt, and I'm like, I'll walk over. Where's that gym? And they're usually like, oh, it's 20 minutes away. Great. Oh yeah, so much better than this one. It's literally some of the greatest advertising there is, and you go check them out, and it never fails. And nowadays, what's nice is most gyms are smart enough to have a social media. You can literally look them up, go to their social media, and look at the equipment. Because when I go on the road, it's part of the fun is to find a great gym and see what they've got. So like we did a search. We're going next week down to Florida, and Nikki already did the homework and found the gym we're going to. They got a ton of prime stuff. It's a powerhouse, and it's like, all right, we're gonna go play on some new toys for the weekend. Yeah. If I can do that for a weekend trip, you can definitely do it at home.
Yeah. Yep. And if you are stuck in an area where your only option is like the big, super clubs, try them all out. Because, like, for example, LVAC on Maryland Parkway in Vegas. I mean, it's an LVAC, so, you're putting up with like commercial gym bullshit. You know what I mean? But they've got some crazy leg pieces
Great
in
equipment.
there. Like, they've got all this classic, awesome leg stuff. They've got an AFS or ASF leg press, the horizontal platform leg press I love so much. They've got like a swing squat. They've got a bunch of great pieces.
Swing squat is nasty.
Good extensions, good leg curls. It's like, you find a place that's got the pieces that make, leg day awesome. And you're like, oh, okay, I can at least tolerate it. Keep your headphones on and you'll be all right.
Keep your headphones on is key.
What I got a follow-up question.
Now, what about the Trend Twins? We didn't touch on the Trend Twins.
Yeah, I got a follow-up though to the gym thing. I wanted to ask, what is the furthest commute you've done to go to a gym, like a regular gym, not just like to go visit it, but like your regular daily gym? What's the longest commute you've had?
40 minutes each way. And I did that for like months and months and months. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I rode the bus 40 minutes. When I was 19, when I was living in Australia, there was a 4-month period where I lived a 40-minute bus ride from the good gym.
Yeah.
And so I just, ate my meal, had my, whatever pre-workout we were using back then, or caffeine or whatever. And I just would hop on the bus and blast my headphones for 40 minutes and get in the zone.
Yeah.
Right, Chief?
Oh no. Are we losing signal here? Wow. Are you guys seeing this live?
That was amazing.
That was the best thing ever.
I think we're okay now.
I think we're good. But that was like the best save ever. Yeah.
Mocked your way through that, Ron.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right.
Good.
Okay, now what's with the Trend Twins? What's with the Trend Twins?
Do you guys know who they are?
Yes. I have never watched a single second of any of their content, but I'm aware of who they are.
Me too.
I've heard, and that's it. So I don't. Yeah. They could be in front of me. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't recognize them. I just heard they're two like 18-year-old kids that are taking a lot of trend and they think it's funny. That's what I was told. That's actually the description that I was given.
Yeah,
it's two 18-year-olds jacked on trend who think it's all funny.
Huh. Okay.
That's what I was told, but I don't know anything about them, so I don't know. Maybe that's my description.
My answer is they're not the Barbarian Brothers, just quickly, because I don't have to know anything about them to know there's only 2 of those on the planet ever in the history of the world. And the stories I have heard about those 2 are just way too good. And they were also complete animals, so it wasn't like mocking bodybuilding.
Yeah.
Like, they were freaks. So.
Yeah. I've heard of them like people getting thrown through windows and stuff like that.
Yeah,
well, hang out with them.
Yeah, and like people like would do the wrong stuff and say stupid shit and get slapped out and stuff too in the gym, like open-handed.
Oh,
yeah, watch your mouth, buddy. So yeah, but anyways, that's what I was told. I was told it's 2 young kids who take a lot of trend and they're funny, I guess. I don't know what they're doing. Are they doing gym gags or I don't know?
No idea.
Me either. I guess we can't comment. Okay. We should find out. We should find out a little bit more.
Maybe we can let the people in the questions tell us. People in the comments, tell us what don't we know about them. Maybe we'll do some research.
Yes, that's a good idea.
That'll be the research.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they're dishing out the best advice in the world and we're all missing out.
They're going to be our guests soon.
What do we have here? People are saying there's no worse representative of bodybuilding than the Trend Twins. They are on gear, but no trend. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
There we go.
Here. Huh.
Oh, so Lucas. No trend. Then why are the Trend Twins?
I don't
Maybe
know.
It's just all an irony. Maybe it's all irony, Dusty. See, I've been misinformed. See, look at me. I'm learning on the show.
Huh. Yeah, no trend, only tests in mild stuff. So look at that. Huh.
Okay, there we go.
And they got some muscle.
Maybe not idiots.
I saw their pictures, and I also saw that they're from my area. There's this really distinctive color combination at Royal Oak Gym. It's like these gray and orange in like a different color gray, like stripes that go around the gym. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, that has to be. I saw one of their pictures. And I was like, oh, wait, that's Royal Oak Gym. These guys, I guess they used to live here in Michigan. So they were like literally right by me. I trained at Royal Oak was my furthest gym, by the way. Royal Oak Gym. I would travel about 45 minutes to get there, 45 minutes to get there, and then hit rush hour on the way home, and it would be over an hour on the ride home. Yeah. So that was when I'd be driving home and like my forearm would be cramping on the steering wheel. And then the other one would be cramping, good times.
Okay. Oh, it says the Trend Twins name was meant to be ironic.
Oh, they're coming up on 100,000 subscribers already. Why don't we're doing something wrong, I guess.
That was 1 million.
I know.
Was it 1 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, $1 million.
Yeah, it should be 1 million
subscribers.
Yeah.
So 100,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll see
I'll
what
go
else we
check 'em
have
out.
here. What else do we have here?
I'm going to check them out now. I'm curious. I'm going
I
to check
am
them
too.
Yeah,
out.
what if they're great? They might be great.
Yeah, maybe I'll find them hilarious. It'll be right up my alley.
Keto late in a prep. He says, have you incorporated keto late in a prep to push conditioning? And if so, for how long?
I didn't call it keto. I just didn't eat carbs or fats or anything but protein and greens for
called
weeks on end.
Protein and veg. It's called emergency situation.
Yeah, that was an earlier, like back in the day thing that was pretty common. I mean, it was, tilapia for most meals, maybe one salmon meal, and like green beans, and that was your day.
Yeah,
I've done that. There was even a phase where I did no greens for some of the meals. It was just the fish.
Right.
And I think he was just trying to kill me, but it was fun. So I liked it.
I used to do like the last 6 weeks would just be like oatmeal and the breakfast, and the rest of the meals were just protein and veg.
Okay.
And just suffer and just.
I think that's the answer, right, Ron? Is you're at the end of a prep and you feel like you need to go. Don't be afraid to pull everything. I mean, remember we had Kamal on and he talked to Chris. He's like, "Oh, my weight's not going down." Chris is like, "Lower your protein."
Yeah.
Load his protein. Boom. Starts leaning down, getting harder. Everything's good. Like, I think that the mentality, back to what we talked about earlier with the amount of information out there, people are afraid to just throw it out there and be like, okay, well, what's the worst possible thing I could do? Well, that would be non-fat protein sources and veggies.
Yeah. Lean protein and veggies. Yeah. Yeah.
So
do it.
It turns out the Trend twins they're more like comedy, and they make memes of themselves.
Okay.
So they're joking around pretty much. So that makes sense. That makes sense.
I'll have to check them out.
I can work with them. I love comedy.
Did you ever see big ass spiders in Australia?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
How big? Show me. Like this? Jed's fine. He's fine.
Yeah. So did I not tell you my giant spider story?
No.
The one about the giant spider that surprised me in the middle of the night? I didn't tell you that one?
I don't think I've heard it.
Okay, real quick. I get home. I'm in Australia. I'm living there with my buddy John. We got a house. We're renting a house. Big house. Yeah. I get home. It's like 5 a.m. because I've been working at the bar. Bars are open super late there. I blend up a shake in the kitchen because it's blender days, right? No shaking up a shake back then. You had to blend them up.
It's the only way.
Yeah, milk, protein powder, and whatever else I put in there, blending it up. Standing there half asleep. I'm just so tired, blending. Pop the top off the blender and start drinking right out of the blender, right? Gulp, 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 gulp. And when I get up to here, I see this giant huntsman the size of my hand on the back of the blender sitting there staring at me while I'm guzzling my shake. Now, this surprises me, obviously, and I throw the blender. And the blender spirals through the air, streaming protein all around the roof and the floor. And then it lands in the sink. It lands in the sink, and it does like the Tony Hawk on the half pipe. It goes down one side of the sink and shoots up the other side spinning. And fucking shake, man, the kitchen, all over the blinds. Like, it was a disaster. And the big spider, he just hopped off onto the counter and just ran across the floor and went under the door into the other living room. Because this was a big house that we were renting back when you used to be able to rent a house for like $600 a month.
We just have to block that room off at that point and never go in it again.
Well, we had the doors closed because we didn't have any furniture in that room. It was like an extra, it was just 2 bodybuilders living in this house. So we had one of the living rooms.
Tape it off, never go in there again.
Yeah.
Yep.
He goes under the door. Of course, my roommate gets up. John comes out. What the hell's going on? He hears me yell, crashing. We slide the door open and we go in there. And now I had just been in there like a week before because I vacuumed. Like, we were good. Mm-hmm. We were good bodybuilders. We kept a clean house. I was in there, vacuumed. So we opened the door, and he has built about a 4-foot web in the corner of that room. and he's sitting up in the middle of it. And now my buddy John is from there, so he's like not worried. He's like, oh, looks like we got a huntsman in the house. Okay. So we open the door, and John just grabs a broom and like pulls the web down, and the spider hits the floor and just runs out the door. And he wasn't really phased. And he goes, oh, you don't want to kill those. A spider that big will eat like 1,000 roaches a month. Like,
oh my God.
He'll keep all the roaches away from we just put them outside. So yeah, That was my big spider story. But that was my first encounter with a big spider. It was like a real shock. I'd been there for like 2 months, and I was like, oh my God.
Dusty, look at this thing. Look at this.
How long did it take?
Look at that spider.
Big ass
You're kidding me. That was on your blender? How big was your blender?
Well, that's a real long leg one. But yeah, it was like the size of my hand. It was like sitting like, it was, not the meat of my hand. It's like that. Like one of those things, man.
That's a lot of spider.
What's worse, a spider like that or a snake?
Well, it just depends on if like
I don't like either.
Yeah.
But I feel like a spider would be fast, and I don't really want him speeding around.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I had giant snakes in my backyard having sex the other day, and that wasn't my favorite either.
What kind of snakes were they?
I don't know.
Because you guys have like rattlers and stuff down there.
No, they weren't. I mean, I had a bunch of people comment because I posted the video up because I literally I opened the door. You do this, Scott. I'm sure you just open the door, like head outside, Harv, and Harvey shoots out the door, and I look to the left and I see these 6-foot snakes wrapped around each other.
Oh yeah, they're mating.
Like, Harvey, come inside. Harvey, come inside. Harvey's like, what's that? He thinks we're playing. He's like, oh, you want to go? And I'm like, do you want a treat? And he's like, oh shit. So he shoots in the house. I close it, and I videoed it and put it up on the internet and on the Instagram. I'm like, so snake people, what's going on here? Is it what I think? And of course it was. And I could tell at the end, I gave a full breakdown of what I thought happened. Because as soon as the guy was done, he was done with her. He freaking bolted.
No
right.
kidding.
Then the girl follows him out, and she's nagging about something, some other bitch he slept with. I don't know. But you could see he was heated, and he left. So I had a snake experience, and I don't do snakes. But I think I'd do those snakes over that spider is my moral of the story.
Yeah. Well,
Did you see a lot of those after that?
Yeah, I saw several. Like the huntsmen, they'll eat birds. Like birds get trapped in their webs, right?
Jeez.
So like a bird will fly, a small bird will get stuck in the web and won't be able to get out. And guess what comes along, wraps it up real quick, boop, 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 sucks all the juice out. Thank you very much. Yeah.
That's awesome.
But the thing with huntsmen is I don't think they bite people. Like their venom doesn't really, I think it's like a bee sting. Like they're not like going to kill you. They're different.
Right.
Yeah.
I think if you're a small kid, it's dangerous, but I can't remember exactly. Yeah. Roaches were what bothered me. When I was in Australia, like I saw a couple of really big spiders and, I saw some snakes too, but it was the roaches that really got me. I hate cockroaches, man. Like, I'd be sitting there watching TV and a cockroach would go across the floor and I'd just be like, oh, because to me, a spider is just like an occurrence that happens. Like, oh, damn, we got a spider. But when you have a cockroach, you're like, oh, shit, it's a house full of roaches. Like, it's dirty. It's something to me is like, oh, no, like, this is like a violation of my personal cleanliness rules. A snake isn't dirty to me. A snake's just a fluke. But roaches to me, I'm like, oh, man, we got to like fumigate the whole house now. This is gross. Like, yeah, I hate roaches.
Tanya said, never go to Florida, Ron. Never go to Florida.
Yeah, I know. Probably roaches everywhere. Is that the thing?
We're getting some questions in the live stream here for you guys.
I'm reading them right now.
All right. So we did get another super chat. So thank you very much from Jesse. And he said,
the sound.
Oh yeah. What are we gonna do? We'll do the Glockenspiel. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Jesse.
I still think it should be just a Glock.
Yeah, make the sound.
$50, Jesse.
Holy crap, Jesse. Man, thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
Damn.
I don't know what to say to that, but thank you.
That's a client of mine getting ready for his first show.
Okay.
And you ever have you don't have many of these people who they're very
I feel like I need to do a dance.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm nervous that's your dance.
He really deserves a desk pop.
Desk pop. Talk me into it. Talk me into it. Let's got to set like a precedent here. If you tip $50, you get a desk pop.
Your poor roof.
Yeah.
You're gonna need more than 50 to fix that. But no, he's just cranking through prep. Like every week, the changes are there. But my favorite part is like we're getting into like a little bit of pain, and I can tell he's sadistic and enjoys it.
Yeah,
he's like, I love
those are the
this.
best guys.
Like, this is your sport, man. You have found your home. You enjoy pain. You're gonna be fine.
He did say though, cardio still sucks. Just to let you know.
You know what? If he gives another $50, cardio might suck less. There's only one way to find out.
No, come on.
I think it's 100.
Settle down.
No.
Thank you.
Don't do it, Jesse. Man. Don't do it.
Yeah, no. We're good.
I'm just saying. Good. I don't know.
It's a science. It's science. Like a square plate.
All right.
Yeah.
How about this one?
Yeah, speaking of bro science idiocy,
yeah,
the square plate thing.
Gotta be square plates.
The dumbest thing I've ever heard from a prep coach.
It works. It works. Yes, it's anabolic and energetic, both.
And there, no one calls him on it. They just let him spout this nonsense.
It's all true. It's all true. I wouldn't lie.
All right. How about this one? What's up, guys? Do you ever notice deep in prep that you have to take a break from artificial sweeteners and whey to keep your gut inflammation down? Came out of nowhere for me.
I never had that problem. I don't really know what gut inflammation feels like. I've sort of like taken a beautiful morning crap every day of my life. And I just attributed any bloating I had as a bodybuilder to stuffing my face with copious amounts of food. And I just thought it was expected. And I don't really know what gut inflammation is. And I don't mean to be a dick. I just honestly don't know what people are talking about.
I think that's one of those things that is highly individual, because I have had clients that we have to figure out when all of a sudden the same foods, something's wrong, and they're disciplined. You know what I mean? So there's no mistakes going on here. Scott, I just sent you a picture of who asked this just for fun.
Okay.
Because he's looking bonkers at the moment and thought we should share a little bit. Because I know sometimes you read those questions, people are like, oh, it's someone that's overanalyzing. Definitely not the case in this situation. But no, it's just one of those things where if all of a sudden something's wrong and you haven't made changes, that would be one of the first things I eliminate, would be something like that.
He looks great.
Yeah,
I have noticed with many clients, so like they'll have like a water issue or they're not looking great. This guy looks awesome. How many weeks out is that? He looks good.
This was 4 weeks to Orlando, 8 to Vegas, and that was 5 days ago.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Well, he's on track. So, I have noticed with some clients, they'll have a bad set of check-ins, and I'm like, what's with the water in your legs? And I find, like maybe they're having a couple diet pops a day and they're putting Splenda in their oatmeal or whatever, but they've added the two things that I've seen cause problems are the sugar-free syrups and the sugar-free jellos. Those two things, I can see it in the body. What's wrong with you? Why do you look like this? Oh, I ate like 5 of those sugar-free jello packs this week. I'm like, stop eating those.
Yeah.
Cut them out.
Right.
Don't put that in. There's something about those, again, I don't remember all the ingredients in them, but it's not that it's just a sweetener. Maybe they're super concentrated. Maybe it's the gelatin. I mean, it's another ingredient. I don't know. But that sugar-free jello and those syrups cause problems with people. I will say that I'm pretty convinced they do. So
what about
that's
this
my
one
little
here?
bit?
Arturo says, random question. Oh, and by the way, somebody else had said, do the questions have to be bodybuilding related? Absolutely not.
Please not.
Yeah.
Pick something that we know about. Wait.
So, yeah, I was with. Go ahead.
Oh no. Go-to spice when you're prepping for your chicken.
High's steak spice. The High's seasoning salt. I put High's seasoning salt on everything.
That's as far as seasonings. I mean, I always just stuck with like 3 things all the time, which was just onion powder, garlic powder, like real simple, and salt and pepper. I always found that really it wasn't that hard to eat these foods. It just changed how I cooked them. You know, so I've done very similar spices all the time. They have one now that I really like though. It's called the buttery steakhouse, and there's no calories in it, but it literally makes it taste like if you go to a steakhouse, you know, they put butter on your steak when they cook it. It tastes like that. So if you're making quality stuff, bomb some of that in there. And as far as ground beef, I think a go-to when you're poor, like I was for a lot of my career, taco seasoning.
Oh yeah,
It goes a long way, and it's so easy. I'm like, oh, taco salad, only minus all the good stuff, and it's just taco beef and lettuce. But whatever, felt like it.
You know what else is really good on your chicken? Shake and bake.
If you ain't first, you last.
First, you last. Yes.
Chris says there's a savage sickness and diarrhea bug doing the rounds here at the moment. Do you guys ever get sick during a prep or heavy push? And do you think fasting is a good option here till it clears?
Well, I don't know if I'd intentionally fast. You know what I mean? I would probably be trying to get calories in, but I mean, yeah, that's the worst. It shouldn't last too long. Normally that stuff's pretty like short-lived, like 2 days or something like that, and it's out of your system. But I don't know. Yeah, would you fast, Dusty, or
no? I mean, I tell clients that during sickness, if they're not in prep, their sole focus is to get healthy. I'm okay if you eat what you can when you can. Try to be mindful and don't use it as an excuse to eat garbage. But in the off season, I'm like, get better. I would rather we nip this thing down in 2 days and you were eating broth and water if that's what we must do.
Right.
You know, I think there's too much of a rush to like, oh, you are not going to lose anything of value in a couple days. And same thing goes for prep, to be honest, in a different direction. That's why if I think it takes 16 weeks to get someone ready, we take 20. You're prepared for the that's going to happen along the way. And you don't blink. Oh, you lost 5 days? It's fine. You're ahead of schedule. You know, I know, Ron, you do the same thing. I've seen your clients coming in, and at 4 weeks out, I guarantee you've heard this. Oh, guy at the gym said I'm ready too early, so I better slow it down.
I got to get a little fatter.
Oh.
What?
Don't slow it down.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't slow it down. Hey, I was going to ask this. Oh, we're live in the operating room. Yeah, Dr. Joe.
Awesome.
Dr. Joe is a good guy. Dr. Joe and I talk quite a bit on Instagram.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. So I'm glad things are going well for Joe, and I'm glad he's operating. He's probably operating on someone's foot right now, fixing some sort of ankle problem or some sort of functional problem to their foot, and listening to our show.
That's awesome.
He also doesn't like Crocs, Dusty.
Yes. There we go. Thanks. And he's a foot doctor, it sounds like. I mean, hello.
Yep.
Medically not approved.
But I did like those headlights I sent you for your Crocs.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Ron? You said you're gonna say something or ask something?
Oh, I just saw a bunch of people when we were talking about spices. I saw a few people mention MSG.
Oh, yeah.
And I was going to ask, what do you guys, like, I was always, my generation was told that MSG was bad for us. Like, they put it in Chinese food because it tastes good. And whenever you go to buy the seasoning salt, they'll be like, like with Highs, there's the red label and then the white label that has no MSG. And I always buy the white one because I was brought up like MSG is not good for you, that sort of stuff. No Crocs. But there's been a lot of like science that debunks that it's bad for you. What do you guys do? Is that a thing you have an opinion on? Have you ever had an opinion on MSG?
I just knew the same thing you did, that people would say, oh, you went to a Chinese place and you were tired afterwards. It must have MSG in it. I mean, I never even put a second thought of it into bodybuilding. That's like wives' tales. I mean, my mother would tell me stuff like that. I was probably just tired from drinking the night before, but whatever.
We talked about it once before, and you were saying, Ron, I actually made a clip out of it, or like a reel, because you were saying that MSG is like a super sodium. And you're like, in fact, it's like the tren of sodium.
The tren of sodium, yes. Monosodium glutamate, yeah.
There's our next T-shirt signature for Ron. MSG, the tren of sodium.
I came up with one the other day. I liked Trent RT.
Trent RT.
Trent RT.
I'm on Trent RT.
I'm on Trent RT. 30 milligrams every second day. Just nice baseline of trend.
Just like to replace
your
natural
levels
amount.
right here.
Yeah. I'm optimizing my youthful aggression levels.
Yeah.
Right?
Trent RT. Yes.
There you go.
What are you going to run into Paul next? I saw that comment. There it is. Brian Lee asked us. Did you just run into Paul the other day, didn't you?
I just saw Paul on the weekend. Did you see the video I made?
I did, yeah.
I did.
You did, Dusty?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny. I even had a couple of the other officials mention it the next day. They're like, Jesus, you guys. I'm here to buy some drugs. Yeah. No, I always see Paul when we're away. And also, I was going to say, right now, Gasp, Branch Warren and Michael Johansson from Gasp are here in town, and they're at my gym training for a couple days. And so I hung out with Branch and Michael yesterday, and I was talking to Branch, and we were talking about guns and hunting and all this stuff. And Branch made a comment. I said, "Oh, there's a guy at the gym who's a really serious hunter, and he wants to chat with you."
Mindful
and
hunter,
Branch
right?
goes, "Yeah." And Branch goes, "Oh, great! I can't wait. People want to talk to me about hunting. I have to stand there for 2 hours. They want to talk to me about bodybuilding." I'm like, "Oh God." I was like, I feel you.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
great.
Branch told us some crazy stories yesterday. He's got he's got 150 acres, eh?
Oh,
right.
Man.
So he's got I guess, gun awareness kind of combat school on his land that his friend runs.
Huh.
That's
awesome.
They've got cars. You can learn how to shoot through the windshield if you have to. Learn how to use a car for cover.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Where to hide if you're in a gunfight, how to shoot around your car, how to do all that sort of like real world stuff.
Yeah,
it was really cool. So he was telling me a whole bunch of stories about that. Yeah, it was very interesting. So be pretty cool.
I'm jealous.
Okay.
John Thick has another one. It says, "What's a machine or exercise that you're weakest at, but do them anyway out of spite?" Mine is the dumbbell shoulder press.
Mine is every chest movement ever created. I have a terrible pressing. So, yeah.
I don't know. I think I avoided them because I was like, "Oh, I'm weak at those. Gonna do things I'm good at."
I would have had to pick a different sport. I had to just do it anyways.
Yeah. No. Geez, what would be one? Overhead pressing. I was never a great overhead presser, but you got to do them, and I would try to vary it and all that sort of stuff. Maybe I'm with them on that one.
I was always really good at. There was a time that because I was doing all like my chest presses with my shoulders. I hadn't figured out how to really activate my pecs. So when I would do overhead press, I would be stronger on overhead press than I even was on flat. And now it wasn't probably the best form ever, but I would do 3 sets with the 130s at probably like under 200 pounds at one time, shoulder press. Yeah, I remember there's this strong man that trained at our gym, and we like trained shoulders together sometimes. And he'd be pressing the 130s, and I'd be like, "Yep, I'll take the 130s." But you know what? The other thing is like I made sure it was the first exercise I did.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? You're not like doing everything else and then shoulders after. It was
135s were the heaviest dumbbells I ever pressed. I was good at shoulder press when I was really young, and I don't know what happened. I hurt my shoulder a few times, and then my dumbbell press was just never as good. But when I was 19, 20, I was doing the big dumbbells, and I don't know. Yeah, just too much too soon.
Yeah. All right. What do you guys think about what's this one here? Ron, you were relentless in your pursuit of a pro card. Did you ever think about how it would feel when you finally got it? And if you did you actually feel the way you expected to?
Yeah, that's a great question. To be honest, when I got my pro card, the only feeling I had was relief.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a bit anticlimactic because my physique wasn't at its best anymore. I knew I had a lot of injuries, and I knew there were things that were like not, you know, the way I wanted them. Like my lat was coming up a bit on the corner, and I was like worried about things, and I wasn't in like one of those like, yes, on to the next. I was like, oh, thank God. Now I'm done with this show. I don't ever have to do this level again. Like it was just a relief, which is good. Like a relieved feeling is great. You know, if you're in them,
absolutely.
Like, you know, and then I felt like, okay, I could close this chapter on pursuing my pro card is finally over with. And on to other things now. That was kind of honestly how I felt. And then I've also had little phases where, you know, obviously it worked out and I got my pro card, but I've had like horrific like nightmares where I didn't get it and then I just never got it. So then it was all for nothing. Like that mentality, like, oh God, I'm so glad I got it. Cause it like, you know what I mean? So just sort of like desperate relief was really the stage I was at. I was 39 when I got my pro card. So it was like, you know, I'd promised myself for years that I would never compete as a 40-year-old.
Right.
I had that in my head. I was like, I can't compete 40 or more. That's just, I'm never going to be one of those guys. I just can't do it. And not for any bad reason, but just because I started so young. Like if you start competing in your 30s, competing in master shows is like, fine. But, you know, I competed like I did a show as a teenager. So I'm like, if I'm competing when I'm 40, like there's other stuff I should be doing. That was my mentality. So I was sort of like just relieved.
All right. What else we got here? There's a bunch of questions we had there was one in particular I really wanted to grab here and I can't seem to find it. Had to do, well, I'll throw this one up. I didn't hear anything about this. Pete from Patreon said, did anyone else notice that Ronnie Coleman was online on Instagram stating that he is selling his home and his gym equipment and even his sneaker collection and other items? Wonder what is happening. I didn't hear anything about
I had that sent to me actually from someone. And I think the reason, and I don't know anything about why it is. I mean, they could be downsizing. I don't know. But I think the reason a lot of people thought it was worrisome was because he looked emotional about it. You know, like when I was done playing hockey and I knew I was done, there was no emotion when I sold my equipment or gave it away. It was just get the shit out of the house. I don't need it. And he definitely didn't look like something he wanted to do. And he kept stating that the house and his gym equipment were prized possessions. So, you know, I'm hopeful I basically started in watching bodybuilding, like truly watching it when Ronnie was winning. So I hope it's just him and the fam have decided to downsize. But I don't know.
Huh. Yeah, well.
Oh, we lost your mic, Ron.
Collection, I mean. Oh, no way. What do you want me to do? Check out and check back in?
Yeah, probably. Dusty and I will hold it down.
We'll do our best.
I didn't see that post, Dusty.
Yeah, a friend of mine sent it to me, and it was like I watched the whole thing, and I definitely understood why, you know, like why there would be worry from it. But at the end of the day, everything is what it is. He's back to on.
Is my buttery voice back?
Ooh, that's buttery. That's
Smooth
quite
jazz,
buttery
for sure. Yes.
There we go. Okay. So I was just going to say the sneaker collection, selling that's like probably like, I mean, he's in his 50s. What does he need 100 pairs of Jordans for? It's just, I don't know. Like that's fun. Like to me, that's like, get him out of the house. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, if he looked emotional, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he just, you know, maybe he just wants to, maybe he's going to move. I don't know. He's moving somewhere. He doesn't want to sell his stuff, but doesn't want to move all that crap. So just get rid of it. You know?
All right. What about, there was one, let me see about this one. There's one about training age, and I'm not seeing where it's at offhand, but is there a truth, basically, he was saying too, like if you start training when you're older, basically he said he thought that we had like 15 years for bodybuilding. So if this guy starts training when he's like 45, could he be a good bodybuilder till he's 60 because he hasn't had that much experience with it?
Depends on what he did with the rest of his 45 years. If he was playing hockey and getting ran over or racing motocross, probably not. And then you got to factor in hormones. I mean, obviously at 45, I mean, there are plenty of people walking around at 45 years old that aren't taking, HRT or anything to get their hormone levels up. So, there's no way to really answer that. But to me, the one answer that's absolutely true is you will be better if you train than if you don't. Health, mental health, feeling good, looking good, all of the above.
Yeah. There's your body's age from training or working out or playing sports, and then there's also your organs age, right? So you may have never taken any performance enhancing drugs, but is your liver really beat up from partying? And there's all those other factors. So, the overall condition of your body dictates how much you can do as an older bodybuilder, I think, especially the back and hips and shoulders, like Dusty said, were you playing like men's league hockey until you were 48 years old, just getting, refusing to give up the glory of the one timer, you just hanging around for that one more one timer, right, Dusty? Oh, he's muted.
Dusty's mic is off.
Oh, sorry. There was noise. Yes, I went into the dog shit. They're getting groomed. So if anybody's wondering why they haven't made their appearance,
yes,
Donna wanted to sparkle up. Three of who interested in MMA?
Who's out of the three of us? Who would be the guy that was like the MMA?
I
guy?
Actually competed in martial arts tournaments.
Oh, you did? That's right.
Yeah. I've been in multiple Taekwondo tournaments when I was young. I probably did like 6 or 8 tournaments. And I won medals. I won medals in every single tournament I ever entered. Okay. I won a medal. Yeah.
Actually, I did know that because you were speaking, and that's how I found out that our dads were like the same person, because
I remember that.
You didn't win one thing, and he was like, suck at that, huh?
Yeah, I came home. I remember I came home from the Alberta Winter Games with a gold medal in forms and a silver in the sparring. And he was like, "Oh,
you're good at pretending how to fight.
You're good." Yeah, he goes, "Oh, so you're good at like doing the forms by yourself, but when you're against somebody, you got silver."
We had the same dad. It's so great.
So your technique of swinging the hammer is perfect, but when it comes down to driving the nails, you're getting silver.
Yeah.
Watch your fingers, kid.
You're real good in theory.
Yeah, you're good in theory. Yeah. My dad was pretty proud of my ability to pretend fight. But and I tried to explain to him that year. I was like, "Hey, I'm in the 13 to 15 age group, and I'm 13, and the guy that beat me is like a foot taller with hairy armpits and a beard, like."
He's a man.
He's like an old 15. He's like, like 19, 15. And I was like a 12, 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he had tattoos already.
Yeah, tattoos. He's smoking between rounds.
Yeah.
Mom on his shoulder.
Gonna get this kid. Yeah.
It's funny that I forgot that until I remembered that story in the back of my head. I'm like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, I've got some great memories. I head kicked a guy and knocked him out cold in a tournament.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, my first fight that day, I head kicked a kid, and I remember I was sitting next to him during the forms, and you're kind of making friends. You're 13 years old, right? You're all making friends with all these kids from all over the province, all these different Taekwondo schools. And I remember I was sitting next to this kid, and this kid, I look back on it now, it's kind of funny, but he's like, "Yeah, it's my 23rd tournament or whatever."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh shit, this kid's gonna be." Really? And he's like, "Yeah, my mom and dad send me to all the tournaments. I got, gold at the last one, silver, bronze, he's listing all his medals." And I was like, "Oh, this kid's going to be tough. He's got like a whole bunch of fights." And I think it was like one of my first tournaments. And I wound up against him in like the semifinals.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, this kid's going to be good." And I get out there and I'm like, "This kid sucks."
His parents said, "Well, the tournaments just get rid of him."
Yeah, I was just getting points on him, like just point, just hitting all his. You got the red and blue. Taekwondo is like a point game, right? Unless you knock a guy out, then it's over. But you know, I beat him easily. But then the next kid, I couldn't even get close to him. He was so much bigger than me. His legs were he just kept me away, you know. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was awesome. I love Taekwondo. That was back, of course, before MMA. No one knew what that was before any of that happened. It was all separate martial arts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hit a couple more here. I don't know what kind of answer we have for this guy, but he posted it a few times. What recreational drugs don't affect gains?
I think they all do.
Yeah.
Well, recreational drug habits really affect gains.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think pretty much every single recreational drug affects your gains in some way, like partying of any kind. Like you go out and go to a rave and drop E-tabs and something, you're not training legs the next day. Like, let's be serious.
You're also not eating that night. I mean,
Yeah.
you're really talking about that. It's funny, but I did a Q&A when I thought we were doing the show on Monday, and I've noticed something that Ron and I have talked about in the past is that a lot of people have things they want to do. They want to smoke weed. They want to smoke cigars. They want to do whatever. And then they try to twist it into a way to pretend that it's somehow beneficial for bodybuilding.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, I had a guy say, he goes, do you think that, you know, smoking a cigar on a Saturday on an off day would help with my recovery? And I'm like,
Huh?
No. It might be fun.
Tobacco.
And sometimes fun is
and
good.
It could be when it could be like, you know, I mean, I definitely understand, like, and I know what people do. They don't mean to, but it's like, well, I get really relaxed, which helps me like calm down. It's like, yeah, but you're trying to twist this into fitting into a box. Like, do it because you enjoy it and it's fine. Like, I smoked weed for years while I was bodybuilding, and I don't think it affected me negatively, but I didn't try to pretend. I was like, well, but the extra sleep is definitely helping my gains.
Yeah, I use it for my appetite, and then
Yeah,
I ate a lot more Doritos that way, and I think that the nacho cheese helped with digestion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Dusty. Like, there's like, you know, if someone says, hey, I like to smoke weed when I get home from the gym, I'm like, okay, it's probably not going to be a problem.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, don't pretend like it's the reason you're doing good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about, I've got a couple more here, and I know we're going to be running out of time here. Let's see. So he's got a kind of a two-part thing. You wrote too much, my friend. He says, let's see, where was the beginning of it? Here's the first part. He says, you notice a genetic freak, one of those teens that go to the gym in a group that talks more than trains. Not talking shit, just context for the individual. So do you bother telling this individual how great they could be if they were to take it seriously, or do you just let them have fun and let them get to the point on their own where it's what they want? Because they'll probably think you're a weirdo if you tell them. It's a good point.
I try to almost never offer unsolicited advice.
Yeah.
Almost ever. I try to never, like, just let people figure shit out. If they come to me and ask, then I'll tell them. But like, if you're just having fun, like, who knows? A kid might want to be a lawyer. He might be focused on getting into law school. Why should he care about bodybuilding?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that guy's up to. If he's having fun, that's great. Is his membership paid? That's my number one concern.
No, I think
Are you up to date?
True. You know, the other thing is there's something to be said about, it's so funny, but we were just in the gym yesterday and I'm watching this kid. He's big kid. He's definitely fat. I mean, 20+%, but he's got a ton of muscle, and I'm watching him just train hard. Didn't have any idea what he's doing. They're bouncing all over the place. And I thought to myself, it's so good that this guy isn't getting any guidance yet. He's just having fun. He's learning the part that you can't teach, which is loving to train. And then if he decides he wants to get into it, when he's ready, he will seek someone out. And that situation will take place, you know, and you guys know how this works. Like, I'm in the gym, so I could see him, like, you know, because I noticed him, and I make sure if I notice someone, I kind of give him the nod, like a little respect shot. And you could tell he was good with that. I'm like, all right, well, this kid's doing what he likes to do. It's the same with, you know, my youngest has genetics that are ridiculous. she eats twice a day, and she's changed more in 5 months than people do in years.
Mm-hmm.
And I get people all the time, oh, you're helping her a ton, huh? I'm like, nope, I have no idea what she goes to the gym.
Fun.
I watch her train, and she trains hard, and she's there for 3 hours because that's what she likes to do.
Right.
Whatever you're looking at,
is
just her enjoying working out. And if she ever wants to go further, I'm downstairs. We can do that.
Yeah. Perfect.
All right. Maybe a couple more here. Dusty, I'm due to order a new box of cigars. Am I ready to expand beyond, what's this brand?
Padron.
Padron? Or should I try another type beyond the 1964? And what does it even mean? What is this?
That's a specific cigar that I probably smoke 10 of those a week, but we won't get into that. Try Plasencia. Those are awesome, and they're cheaper, which is a good route. Those are the first sticks I ever really got into, so you can't go wrong in anything they make. So that would be my next route, and of course foxcigar.com because it's the cheapest. Throw my name in there, they'll throw you some extra stuff.
Yeah, use code Dusty20.
Dusty20, Fox Cigar.
Literally just put my name, and they're like, they feel bad for people who know me, so they give them stuff. They're like, oh, you got to deal with him? Let's toss this guy some stuff. It's terrible.
I've got one more here. And I thought this was kind of a good one. Had this other, okay, so we were talking about like gym guys, like different stereotypes. And by the way, we got like 1,000 replies about the gym stereotypes, and everybody
that's awesome,
saying we were
right
on
on
point.
This one.
Yeah, I thought this is a good question. So it stemmed from that. He said, had this other guy who was an absolute monster, at least 6'3", would squat 7-8 plates, dressed in lumberjack gear. All the big dudes would spot him and just watch him lift in awe. I remember seeing him at the grocery store, towering over the aisles, making his shopping cart look like a Fisher-Price toy. One day, I decided to ask him the number one tip he could give me for lifting, and he said, train every body part like it's your favorite. Sticks with me till this day. I thought it was a great comment, so I wanted to share that, number one. And then number two, I wanted to ask you, what was one piece of advice like that you guys remember from years ago that has stuck with you to this day? Even if you don't use it, it meant a lot to you.
Oh, man. I have a ton because I was lucky enough to train with like late 80s, early 90s bodybuilders. And I started training in the 2000s. But I would say that the greatest advice that I got that I really stuck to early in my career was staying covered up when I was young and feeling my muscle work rather than trying to look at it. And I don't do that when I got older, but it was just something that he really jammed home to me was to work on feeling your muscle. Because I think back in the day, they didn't have mirrors in every wall. And I used to like adjust to go stand in front of a mirror if I was doing anything. Like I couldn't even deadlift facing the wrong direction, facing away from a mirror. And that was an adjustment I made, and it paid off early. And then obviously as I got older, it didn't matter anymore. But I definitely think it affected how I was moving the muscle to not have to be looking in the mirror or have to be seeing my muscle to know it was working. He's like, why do you stare? Shouldn't you be able to feel a body part that's attached to you? And I'm like, right. I can't, but good point. So that was definitely one of them. Then obviously one that we've shared a million times over is that you're fatter than you think you are and smaller than you think you are. I heard that 20 years ago. And that's the truest thing I've ever heard. And it's a normal process with bodybuilders. Jesse that gave the $50 earlier, he's already figured that out as the weight is dropping down. He's like, I know I'm not losing muscle, so I was just fatter than I thought. And it's not slowing him down. He knows to just get peeled. Don't even worry about that number. Just get sliced. What about you guys?
I remember a bodybuilder, that the funny thing that you said there at the end, a bodybuilder, when I was getting ready for my first show, he said, get so ripped that you can't believe how you look and then lose 10 more pounds.
That's amazing.
And I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, because you're going to impress yourself, but those judges, they've seen it all before.
Right. That's great.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. He's like, you think you're the first guy that they've seen that looks really good?
Right. You won't be the 1st
You're
guy
not.
that day.
Yeah. You're not even the first guy in that class that looks really good.
Yeah.
Right. So he just said, like, the guy that gets the most shredded is going to win. So just be him, you know? And for the most part, at all the regional shows, that's kind of how it works. Like, conditioning just kills at that level.
You totally reminded me of something JJ told me that I forgot about probably since then. But I had told him, I sent him pictures one day, and I said, the lighting's not great here. And his response was, when you're really sliced, the lighting doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
And it's true. And as you do start to realize like that, I've never seen a picture of like Munzer where I was like, I think if he's in better lighting, he'd look harder.
Yeah.
It could be in the dark. You're like, dude, sliced.
Yeah.
It's
from like the most regional all the way to the pros. I still hear this from everyone. They're really, really obsessed with weight sometimes, and they get hooked on weight, and they know that it's incorrect. They know that it's going to cost them.
Yeah.
But it's like that. It's like that really beautiful woman that they just can't resist, right? and you know, maybe they compete at 205 and they look great. And then the next day they're 207. You're like, oh, I could have been 2 pounds bigger.
Right.
It's like, dude, like, don't live. You know, you can't live like that. That's not, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then, you know, or get really obsessed with weight. Oh, maybe I should be 10 pounds heavier. It's like, I doubt that's the right route. Like, we're going to lose some detail. You know, I see guys all the time, and we've even heard top pros say, yeah, you know, I was just trying to come in really full and it cost me. That usually costs people. Sacrificing, anytime anyone sacrifices condition, it normally costs them. Normally.
Well, that's why, in my opinion, Iain won by a landslide at the show this weekend.
Condition.
They turned around. He was harder. Like
he was harder. He was harder everywhere. He was harder.
But I mean, it was like from the back. That's what I should say is he was alone when they turned around. They all look good from the front. You know, his conditioning was just way too much. So that's a perfect example. I think it would have been interesting if the top two were sliced out of their minds. Then you're like, wonder what'll happen. You know, I still think Iain will win, but.
Yeah.
Jesse gave us another super chat.
Jesse, you're out of control. I'm going to have to stop you.
Yeah, no, for real. You got to stop, man. You got to stop. We appreciate it, man. For real.
Wait. We got. Let's think about.
You got to stop, man. You got to stop, man.
Let's think about this.
Oh man, Ron owes Jesse cardio to somehow be easier this week for his science.
Here's one.
Okay,
here's some great advice. Here's some good cardio advice for Jesse.
We'll read the question so that the people who are maybe listening later on the audio version know what you're saying.
Cardio did get easier by donating 50. See? That's funny.
You gonna read it?
Okay.
Read the question for us. Yeah, you take it. Take it from here.
Question.
Please. Yes.
What was your guys' mentality going into your first ever show? Go in there to win, don't show up last place. Or was it something as simple as just showing up in great shape?
Oof. Scott, you go first. You went first on anything.
All right.
First show.
Okay. Question. What was your guys' mentality going into your first show? I just wanted to be my best. You know, I was excited that I could freaking do it. You know, like to me, it wasn't the first time that I had tried to diet and get absolutely lean. But it was the first time that I actually achieved it. And I did get leaner later. Like the following year, I got absolutely peeled. Like it was like the coolest thing ever. But in my mind,
Scott McNally conditioning.
It was, like I had gotten to be known like for having really good condition. And it was based off of that second show. But the first show, I got, in shape, right? And I was just happy to be there. I took second place in my class. And I think there were 6 guys in the class, and I was shocked. I looked at the other guys, and I was like, holy crap. I beat all of those other people, you know. And I was literally, and they showed us the scorecards too. I don't think they always do that now, but we saw the scorecards, and I literally lost first place by 1 point. I wasn't disappointed. I was excited. I was like, I was that good that day with this crowd that I could have almost done this. For me, I was just purely excited for the experience and to go through it and to experience the water prep, the water cut, the manipulation, and, you know, which just to see what the whole thing was like, the loading. You know, back then we used to do a lot of tanning, so I was like all tanned and everything, and then we painted the tan on ourselves. So like figuring that, but like I'd done all my research, you know, I knew like you had to shave, and I knew like, you know, I remember my girlfriend like, you know, painting that stuff on me in the basement with tarps put down and everything. It was wild, you know. It was some of the like the best memories were getting to it though. Like the actual show, I was surprised at how short it actually was. I would practice for 30 minutes, an hour at a time, you know. It was all I was thinking about. And then when the show actually happened, it was like, boop, it was over.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, that was my mentality. How about you guys?
Well, I remember my first show. I was 230 at that first show when I was 21, and I went to I did that show when I was a teenager, but that was like unsanctioned and everything. But when I was 21, I went to the show, and I was expecting there to be like 10 heavyweights who were all 230, 240. I was expecting there to be just a ton of guys, and I got there and there's 2 heavyweights. And I weighed in, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, you're 230 pounds? Jesus!" And I remember thinking, like, "Aren't there 10 of us?" Like, you know what I mean? Because back then, heavyweight was 198. That's it.
Right.
There was no super, right? So there was one heavyweight that was like 205, and then there was me, like 230, and I had striated glutes. And I went there expecting like a bloodbath of heavyweights, like just brutal. Like, and I was like, oh, and then I won pretty easily. But my mentality, the whole prep was I'm going into like this battle with all these men.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be all these heavyweights, man. There's all these guys, you know, because I'd seen nationals already. Yeah. I'd already been to nationals, and I'd seen what the national level physique was like. And I was like, okay, well, all the guys that are trying to get there, I have to get through them. So it's going to be brutal. Like, I got to be ready. And then I like went there, and there's 2 heavyweights. I was like, oh, damn.
Did you win the overall your second show or your first show?
No, I did not. The middleweight won.
Okay.
And I remember afterwards, I was very confused. I was like, how did that guy beat me? And I remember all the judges said the same thing. They're like, your tan needs to be darker. You would have won if your tan was darker.
No kidding.
Oh,
and I was like, really? But if you think I would have won with a darker tan, shouldn't you
I already won?
Judge me that way? Like, I remember being confused, and they're like, nah, your tan was too light. Marked down.
Wow.
And I was like, ouch. So I never let that happen again. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
But it was a good lesson. It was also a good lesson to get beat by middleweight, because that was probably a great lesson early on. You're like, oh, okay, well, everything matters. Like, if they would have let me off the hook for the tan, maybe I wouldn't have fixed my tan, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it all added up. Yeah. You know, take what you get, people.
Mine is simple. My first show, I hated every second of the prep. I was never going to do it again. And I was only finishing it because I started it, and I was literally raised to never quit anything you do. And because I had said I was going to do it, I had to. And so it was, I did everything I was supposed to do, but I really wasn't even thinking about what was going to happen at the show. I just wanted to finish the 12 weeks I had signed up for and be done.
Wow.
And then I went to the show. I had fun. And I did realize I could have done more. And that was the beginning of the chase of getting better. I think that's why, all kidding aside, I always joke, but like why I chased bodybuilding, even though I know I wasn't born to do it, was I was addicted to the idea that every year or so I could try to beat myself and get better and better. And it just eventually reached a point where it became feasible for my best to possibly squeak in a pro card. But I definitely learned that was that day, and seeing guys that were definitely better than me. I took third, and I was like, all right, I might need to do this again. You know, so that was the addiction. But yeah, the 12 weeks sucked from like day one. I had no idea macaroni and cheese was not part of a prep.
I got one more, just because it was interesting, and we haven't ever talked about it before. You're gonna have to level with us, Ron. When you guys were coming up, was there a beef with Fuad, since you guys were both from Canada? It says Ann mentions a rivalry. You had your rivalry with Ben Pekulski.
I think he means Fuad. Like Fuad and Ben had a little bit of more of a rivalry because they were both from Ontario.
And I guess when I say rivalry, I meant you were rivals on stage, not that you had a rivalry.
Yeah.
I should. So
we all competed against each other. Yeah. So Fuad turned pro in 06. Ben didn't show up till 07, and which I actually competed against Ben twice. I beat him in 07, but I didn't win the overall, which sucked. And then the following year, Ben beat me, and then he won the overall, so we got his pro card. But Fuad was already pro. But then once Ben became a pro, they were sort of the two guys from Ontario, and there was a bit of rivalry because, you know, who's number one, right? And Fuad and Ben did several shows where they placed like right next to each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Fuad might beat Ben by a placing, and then I'm not sure on the history, but they were like right next to each other in the placings at several shows. So there was some rivalry there. I mean, the only rivalry I ever had with Fuad or Ben was just as a national level competitor. You know what I mean? But I always got along with everybody. I mean, I've known Fuad a long time. I remember Fuad at his very first nationals. He was a heavyweight. He got 5th. And I remember he had his hair bleached blonde. So if you ever see a photo of Fuad with bleached blonde hair, that's from his first nationals. And I remember I went up to him. I went up to him backstage that year, and I said, "Hey man, you look great. You got a great physique." And he's like, "Oh, thanks." And we were like comparing legs in the mirror, and I think he weighed like, you know, he was like 210 or something, right? And 205 or something like that. And we're like posing together backstage and like, you know, doing side chests and like having fun. And that's when I met Fuad. So my first introduction with Fuad was like awesome because we got along right away, you know? So I never really had any beef with Fuad at all. So.
All right. Well, that was it. We had more, but we could sit here all day and just keep literally probably for hours. We could do like a marathon for 10 hours doing this show, I bet.
Right.
Good enough, guys.
Okay. Well, that was great. Obviously, you know, I was stuck in the airport on Monday, so we were unable to record. So I'm glad that we got to smash out a live episode. We freaking appreciate this crazy, like we had a lot of people watching the whole time.
It was
and
awesome.
Comments were nonstop. And there was tons of comments I saw you guys throw up that I would have loved to have, you know, talked about, but you know, things are moving pretty quick. And Scott does his best to pull up great job pulling stuff up, by the way, because there's a lot going on over here.
Yeah, you guys are freaking awesome with all your comments and support with this episode. Thank you.
So remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
There we go. And of course, remember IamMutant.com. Ding, ding, ding. There we go. Dusty 20, Big Ron 20, 20% off. ISO Surge, all in, get on the gear, all that stuff. We really appreciate you. The Patreon for Think Big Bodybuilding Network. You know, for the price of a cup of coffee, you can keep a podcast producer homed.
Thank you. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. And thank you to Jesse and everybody else too. Thank you guys for the super chats. I'll give you one more. There you go.
Okay, there we go. I still think we need a desk pop sound.
We'll work on that. I need a better backstop.
Sample it right out of the movie. The desk pop gunshot right out of the movie, and we'll use that.
Okay.
So we'll get it. Okay.
We'll make that work.
Okay, thanks everybody. And remember, it's just bodybuilding.
See you guys.